All right, all right, all right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to Mindset Monday. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody's doing well today on this beautiful Monday. As always, let's turn off all distractions, grab pen and paper, let's take lots of notes. Let's make sure that we participate and engage. And we want to make sure that we start our day off by taking massive action. And that action stands for accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing you for any outcome, centering yourself, body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading, trust in your education, strategy, trade skills, and intuition. Imagine your trade successfully materializing, obeying your trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed or fear, and never looking back or stopping once your trade has commenced. All right. So if everybody can hear me okay, drop me one in the chat and we will get things rocking. All right. Cool deal. Let's make sure I got things set here. All right. Oops, don't want to do that. Appreciate it. All right. So, good people. Um, you saw the title slide. What will you give up to grow up? Growth and progress, we talk about all the time. It doesn't happen overnight, right? It doesn't happen by accident, right? They require decision, sacrifice, and kind of most importantly, trade-offs, right? You have to give up something to go up, to move up to the next level. Every step forward in our lives involves letting go of something, right? Letting go of something, whether it's comfort, familiarity, or even something you've come to love, right? And those trade-offs, they're hard. Very rarely are trade-offs easy. Very rarely, right? So today we're talking about the law of trade-offs, right? And how the choices we make to let go of certain things can propel us toward the growth that we desire, right? Toward the success, the fulfillment that we're seeking, right? Because the reality is, right, it's not enough just to go through the motions of change, right? We have to grow through them. It has to be intentional. So let's begin with what are trade-offs, right? Every time you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else, right? You can't say yes to absolutely everything. It's difficult, right? When you say yes to this, you're saying no to something else. So trade-offs are a part of life, right? They're decisions, uh, the decisions that we make to exchange one thing for another. That's what trade-off is, right? And every trade-off comes with a question. What do I gain and what do I lose by making this choice? Now think about it. Every decision, big or small, right, involves some kind of trade-off, be it time, be it money, energy, right? If you decide to spend every evening working on a personal project, you're trading off time that you could have spent relaxing or spent with your loved ones. If you choose to focus on building your health, you're trading off certain comforts and indulgences, right? It's constant. Every time you face a trade-off, there are two ways that you can approach it, right? You can either just go through the motions and not really pay attention to the details of the things that happen along the way, or you can grow through it. You can identify the reasons that you had to let go of said thing and how it's helping you to grow into the person that you desire to become, right? So here's the difference between going through change and growing through change. Going through change is passive, right? You sigh, you accept that change is inevitable, and you just hope for the best. I hope this turns out well, right? You give up all control of the process and leave your future to chance. Growing through change is an active process, right? It's it's about taking charge of your attitude, your emotions, your mindset, right? You choose to engage in the process and you embrace the lessons that come along the way, and you come out stronger on the other side, right? And so when you choose to grow through trade-offs, you're making a powerful a declaration, not just a decision, but a declaration. While others live small, I will not. While others become victims of their circumstance, I will not. While others leave their future in someone else's hands, I will not. Growth through trade-offs is a choice. It's not about surrendering control. It's about taking control of your life and your future, right? And so whenever you're faced with a trade-off, I want you to ask two key questions, right? First is, what are the pluses and the minuses of this change, right? What am I gaining and what am I giving up? Every trade-off has both, right? It's not always easy to let go of something that you've grown attached to or you've come accustomed to, right? Even if it's necessary for your growth, because it's change, right? Our brains, our minds aren't wired to accept that easily, right? But taking time to evaluate the pros and the cons can help you to make more intentional decisions, right? And the second question is, will I go through this change and just allow it to happen, whatever happens, or will I grow through it, right? And this question is so critical because it shifts your focus from simply enduring the change to actively growing from it, actively looking for the lessons in the moment so that you can become better than you were yesterday. Choosing to grow through trade-offs means taking ownership of the process, right? It's about asking, what can I learn from this? How can this decision make me better? How can I shape my future rather than react to the present, right? Trade-offs, they're not something to fear. It's actually a beautiful process if you allow it, right? They're opportunities to create the life that you want. It gives you that control, right? When you grow through trade-offs, you move closer to your fullest potential. right? You step out of the passenger seat and you take the wheel of your life. So what will you choose? Will you choose to simply go through the changes that come your way, or will you grow through them, right? The difference between those two choices is everything. Growth requires courage, but it also leads to transformation, right? It's worth every ounce of effort. It really is. Growth is hard, but as you see yourself changing, as you see yourself impacting your environment positively, it's totally worth it. So I want to dive into what it means to embrace this law of trade-offs, right? And what makes those decisions lead to lasting growth. All right. So, like I said, trade-offs aren't easy. Change isn't easy, but the loss also comes with a win, right? The loss comes with a win. Every time you trade off, you feel pain for what you're letting go of. You feel the pain long before the experience, right, of the benefits of what you're gaining, right? So it's hard because it's not that immediate gratification, right? Trade-offs usually involve giving up something familiar, something comfortable, or something that you love, right, to gain something in the future, right? So change is hard. So here's what's happening when you're making this trade-off, right? Neurologically, you're rewiring that brain, right? You're changing a habit that you've created, right? A neuro association with this thing, right? You're changing a habit or a belief that you've had for years, right? It's deeply ingrained in your nervous system now that this thing makes me feel this way. When you think about that thing, you feel something. And when you decide to let it go, you're literally breaking apart those neurotic connections that you've been holding on to for so long. So it's hard, right? It feels like your brain is saying, wait. We've done this for so long. We've done this my whole life. This is who I am in some cases. Why are you changing this now? Right? That's why it feels uncomfortable, right? Even if you know logically that is going to lead to growth, it's still hard. But the discomfort is only temporary, right? Just like going to the gym, the discomfort is only temporary. It might last for a couple days, might last for a couple weeks, but you'll start to see the changes, right? You'll start to see the changes. It's important to acknowledge the loss that comes with the trade-offs, though, right? It's important to, a lot of times, what we try to do is we try to avoid things. We try to avoid acknowledging the loss, but the avoidance makes you think about it even more instead of just acknowledging it from the very beginning, right? When letting go of something that you relied on for so long, whether it be a habit, a mindset, or relationship, right? It's natural to feel a sense of grief or resistance, right? But you got to remember you're not losing it. You're letting go of it. When you lose something, you try to find it and you'll try to seek it and you'll try to go back and figure it out because you lost it. But if you're letting go of it, it's an active decision to release. And the active decision to release gives you the opportunity to make space for something greater, right? So when you feel that discomfort, remind yourself that you're making this trade-off because there's something greater coming and you're actively choosing to let it go. So you don't want to go back and find it, right? And focus on the growth and the opportunity waiting on you on the other side, right? So here's my challenge for you. Don't fear the discomfort. Lean into it. Lean into it knowing that every trade-off that you make brings you closer to the person that you desire to become, right? The pain of the trade-off is only going to be temporary. Just continue to remind yourself of why you're making the decision in the first place, right? So the next thing is, what does this look like at different stages of our lives, right? Trade-offs aren't just one-time decisions, but they don't just show up at a specific moment and then disappear, right? They happen at every stage of our life and they evolve as we evolve, right? So there's something important to understand here is as you climb higher, the stakes get higher. The stakes get a little bit tougher. The decisions change, right? When you're just starting out, trade-offs, they might even feel easy because you may not have much to lose with the particular decision, right? Have you ever heard somebody say, when I was younger, I gave it all up to chase my dreams? Right? It's inspiring, but the reality of it is at the beginning of the journey, giving it all up often means giving up very little. I'll speak for myself. At the age of 20, I didn't have much. At the age of 18, I didn't have much. So if I would have gave up everything at that point, it wouldn't have been giving up a whole lot, right? You might have a stable job, a significant relationship, um, or financial security to risk, but in many ways, these early trade-offs are leaps of faith, but they're also a little simpler because you're not carrying much with you, right? If all you had was $20 to your name, yes, for you as an individual, that's a lot because that's all you have. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money. It's a sacrifice, yes, but it's not a lot of money. You're at the start of your journey, right? And the cost feels manageable, right? But as you climb higher, the trade-offs become more challenging. Why? Because now you've built something. You have more to lose, right? When you've achieved a certain level of success, whether in your career, in your relationships, personal life, you decide to let something go, or deciding to let something go, right? Can it sometimes it can feel daunting because there aren't any certainties. And you could lose everything. The stakes are higher because the things you're considering giving up are the things you've worked so hard for, the things that you value deeply, right? People might look at successful individuals and assume that they have it easy. But in reality, the higher you climb, the harder the trade-offs become. The harder they become, right? There's a story about a man who gave up his last $20 to pursue his dreams and eventually became a millionaire, right? One night during a speaking event, right, he started his journey and the audience was captivated. And then someone stood up and asked him, "Would you do it again?" And he paused. And the silence in the room was telling because the stakes had changed, right? The more you have, the harder it becomes to let go. So giving up $20, right? When it's all you've got is one thing, but when you've built a life, a career, a family, a house, a home, the trade-offs, the weight is different than before, right? So as you grow, the trade-offs get tougher. Henry David Thoreau once said, "The price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it," right? Trade-offs aren't just about giving up something, but they're about choosing what you're willing to exchange your time, energy, and effort and focus for, right? Are you willing to trade comfort for growth? Are you willing to let go of something good to pursue something better? Are you willing to risk security for a chance to live your potential, right? Again, at the beginning of the journey, these questions, they feel easier to answer because you're not carrying much. But as you grow, every decision becomes more layered, more complex. And that's okay, right? Growth is supposed to challenge you. Because in those moments where you have to make this decision, this difficult decision, it's like lifting that heavy weight. It's gonna hurt now. It's gonna hurt for a little while. But tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, 5 years from now, the whole world could be different. So here's the takeaway. Trade-offs are a part of life, no matter where you are in the journey, right? At the start, they might be easier. Hold on one second, everybody. I don't know what she's on. At the start, they might be easier, right? But the higher you climb, the harder they become, right? And they don't become harder because they're not worth it, but because you have more to lose. And that's where the clarity becomes your greatest tool, right? Every trade-off requires you to ask, what are you willing to exchange? What are you willing to exchange? And then is this trade-off aligned with the life that you desire to build? Does this help you to get closer to the goals that you have for your life, the person that you desire to become? So those are two more questions to ask. What am I willing to give up? And is this in alignment with where I'm going? So let's talk about why we make trade-offs. And at their core, right, there are two main reasons that people decide to make changes in their lives, right? One is desperation, and the other is inspiration. At its core, both can push you to make it. Both can push you to take action. They come from very different places, and understanding the difference can help you approach trade-offs with a little bit more clarity, a little bit more purpose, right? So let's start with desperation. When you're desperate, right? You're in a catch 22. The situation has reached a point where staying where you are is no longer an option. It can't happen anymore. You feel stuck, you feel trapped, or even could feel out of control, right? And the only way forward is to make this trade-off. Desperation can be a powerful motivator, right? It forces you to take action and make changes you might not have made otherwise. You might not even considered if you had another option, right? Maybe it's a toxic work environment and you have no choice but to leave, even if it means taking a pay cut. Or maybe it's your health and you've reached a breaking point, right? You're forced to give up the unhealthy habits because you're on the brink of serious consequences, right? So while desperation can drive action, right, it often comes with higher emotional and mental costs, right? When you're making trade-offs out of necessity, it can feel like you're reacting to life rather than taking charge of it. You're not in control. So desperation may get you moving, but it's not a sustainable way to approach growth, right? The key is to learn from those moments, to use them to build more intention around your action. It might start off as desperation. In some cases, it does, right? But as you identify, all right, I have to change. Now I can make specific decisions on what I need to do to be intentional about the change that I have to make now, right? The second is inspiration. Inspiration is much more intentional. Instead of waiting for things to get so bad that you're forced to change, you choose to make trade-offs because you see potential for growth and opportunity. Maybe you decide to leave a comfortable job because you're miserable, right? Or not because you're miserable, but because you see a better future in pursuing your passion. Maybe, maybe you give up short-term pleasures like spending money on luxury to invest in your long-term financial goals. When you're inspired, you're proactive. You're not waiting for life to back you into a corner, right? You're taking charge of the path. Inspiration, it allows you to approach trade-offs with a sense of purpose, clarity, and confidence. Okay. Only through the wise exchange of trade-offs can you reach your full potential. Right? The difference between desperation and inspiration lies in how you view the trade-off. Desperation says, I have to do this because I have no choice. Whereas inspiration says, I choose to do this because I can see the opportunity it holds. Right? The wisest trade-offs don't always have immediate rewards, though, but they require patience, persistence, and faith that the short-term losses will lead to a long-term win. Okay. So the question is, how do you shift from making trade-offs out of desperation to making them out of inspiration? You start by reflecting, right? Where are you waiting for things to fall apart before you take action? What areas of your life are you waiting for the other chip to fall, right? Then look for opportunities to make intentional changes before the choice is made for you, right? Trade-offs made out of inspiration come from a place of empowerment, right? You're not reacting to life, but you're designing it. You see the future, now you're placing the blocks. If I do this to learn this skill, I can take that skill and then do this to learn this skill that gets me closer to being this person. And then as I learn the lessons through those experiences, now I'm becoming the person that I envision. Growth doesn't happen by chance. It happens by choice. The most meaningful trade-offs come when you choose to act from a place of inspiration rather than waiting on desperation to force your hand. Sometimes desperation will happen and you have to make strategic decisions, but the meaningful ones come when you're inspired. So ask yourself, where can I start making inspired trade-offs today? Because I see the person that I desire to become. So when you're faced with a major trade-off, one of the one of those decisions that could change the trajectory of your life, how do you know if it's the right move or not? It's always the hard part. How do I know, Ryan, when to make this decision opposed to that one? How do I evaluate whether a trade-off is worth it or not? A process that I got from one of my old mentors is no bullshit, what will it take? No BS, what will it take? It's about cutting through all the noise, right? And getting honest with yourself and weighing the cost of the decision against the potential reward. So this is what it looks like, right? When the trade-off comes with a cost, it the trade-off might be time. How much time will this decision require? And what else will you have to give up to make it happen? right? Energy. Does this trade-off require a lot of effort or focus? Are you ready to invest that amount of effort and focus? Comfort. Will this decision push you outside of your comfort zone? And are you prepared or are you willing to take on this discomfort? In your relationships, how will this choice impact the people around you? If it impacts the people around you, how will you manage that? And are you willing to manage that? Right? So all of these areas of your life, you have to ask, are you willing to do what's required? No BS, no bullshit. What will it take? Being completely honest with what it's going to take to achieve or to make that trade-off, right? Growth requires sacrifice and understanding exactly what you're giving up to help you move forward with clarity, right? So, what will it take? The amount of time, the amount of energy, the amount of effort, comfort, discomfort, how will it impact your relationships? Being very, very clear about what it's going to take. Right? Step two, what's the potential reward? Right? Looking at the bigger picture, what's the opportunity here? Personal growth, right? Will it help me to become better, stronger, more capable? Will it lead to new opportunities, right? Can this open a door that I've never had access to before? Maybe an experience or a relationship? And then fulfillment. Or will this choice bring me closer to living the life that I truly desire? It's easier to focus on what you're losing in a trade-off, right? But we can't forget to weigh it against what we stand to gain. And sometimes the reward outweighs the cost, right? But you won't see it unless you actually take time to look through it. The third step in this process is asking the question, is this trade-off or does this trade-off align with my long-term goals, the person that I desire to become? Does this decision move me closer to the life I'm building? It's not enough to trade off to uh it's not enough for a trade-off to feel exciting or promising in the moment, right? The initial excitement is cool, but the question is, does this align with where I'm going? The vision of my life, the vision of my career, who I desire to be personally, right? You might not feel more comfortable or you might not be in a better financial position, but if the decision aligns with your bigger goals, most times it's worth it because those other things will come, right? And then you can ask yourself, will I look back on this decision in 5 years and be proud of the direction that it took me in? Step number four, am I willing? Am I willing to endure short-term discomfort for the long-term benefits? All right. Am I ready to push through the hard parts? Trade-offs do not always feel good, right? They require persistence, patience, and the willingness to endure the discomfort for the sake of the long-term growth. So after taking all of those things into account, you have to ask yourself, am I willing to do these things? No BS. What will it take? And am I willing to do it? Am I willing to give the time, the effort, the energy that it's going to require? Right? Again, it's not about the immediate feelings, it's about the long-term growth and success that you desire. Because at the start, it might not feel comfortable. It might actually feel like you're taking a step back because you got to go back and learn some things. You probably feel less comfortable, less secure, and even less successful in the short term because it's new, it's changed, it's different, right? But a wise trade-off isn't always about feeling good today, but it's about the lessons that you're learning that are required to move you closer to the person that you desire to become. So the next time you're faced with a trade-off, ask yourself, play the game. No BS, what will it take? Play the game. What's the cost? What's the reward? Is it aligned with my long-term goals? And am I willing to do what's required? And be honest with it. Sometimes that answer is going to be no. And that's quite all right. But sometimes you have to say no in order to really hone in on the things that you need to do to get you where you're going. So you have to give up to go up. You have to give up something to go somewhere. The trade-offs you make today will determine the person you become tomorrow. It's not about avoiding discomfort. It's about embracing it. Trusting that every trade-off that you choose will move you closer to the person that you desire to become. So wherever you are in your life right now, ask yourself, what trade-offs do you need to make? What's one thing you can let go of today to create space for a greater tomorrow? That's Mindset Money, good people. Floor is open. Thoughts, feedback, questions.
I couldn't wait for this part. So I shared with everybody that, and y'all know I got my heart on my sleeve. I ain't got nothing to hold. I'm not embarrassed by anything that come out my mouth. I've been trying to find a way to move up in my company. And so my previous supervisor thought it was the most brilliant idea. And we're in the need to know space. I don't even have the control over my projection in this company. That's how my company works. And it is what it is. And I'm at the age, I don't feel like going on interviews. I done got old. I have a master's, so I tend to get turned down for overqualified a lot. I mean, a lot. And my biggest regret was getting a master's. I don't know why I feel that way. I just feel like right now, I was so searching to get my master, but right now it's hindering me because I don't have that experience in some of the finance areas that I want to go. But I have the credentials. And so she thought it was a bright idea. One of the states was leaving from under her control to another supervisor. And here I am. They sent me packing with the state. I felt like I had my bags packed at mom's house waiting for dad to come pick me up. And I'm still waiting for dad to give me some attention
So
in
funny,
this new role. Because it was only weeks. Now remind you, they have 3 months of leadership planning. And I'm just assuming. You know what I'm saying, on the time frame. But I know it was at least a month because when we had this first conversation, it was 2.5 that passed. And I was the one that was selected because out of everybody on my team, I'm the one with the most experience. And a lot of people do come to me for help. and I don't get the technology, so I depend on the other people for the technology help. Like, help me understand this because I don't, because of the technology. So last week I was trying to tell my current boss, hey, I can't do my job because I need this and I need this and I need this. So in response, he was like, because I guess he's new in his position as well. He's like, well, I don't have it. And these are tools that he would use, right? And I'm like, oh, okay. So basically, in my job, I need a tool to sort through claim numbers for me so then that way it can tell me what I need to look at instead of me getting a report with 97 claims number on it and go through all 97 of those claims to figure out which work is mine. Mm-hmm. And so somebody finally set him down. Finally, somebody set him down and he apologized to me. But it's like during that time when I'm telling you what I need, and I sat back and I asked myself, is this worth the joy? Because I can't go back. That I'm with the state now.
You're here now.
I'm here now. It wasn't even a choice. I didn't make this choice. It was made for me. So it's like, how can I didn't flip. I didn't trip. I went back to the people that was helping me. They end up talking to the big boss and they was like, yeah, because the thing is they thought I had it messed up. I was doing it the long way, but I was doing the right way. And because they're not familiar, I'm teaching them. And because I'm at the position I am, they really can't take no for a directive from me. So, but it had to be backed up and corrected by the people that gave me the work in the first place.
Yeah.
And I get it. It is the previous people to get me trained. But my current people, y'all, my team, we got to develop a relationship. And that's what I was trying to do because it's some work we all know and we can all work together on to learn it together because all in all, it's his work. It's his work. It's underneath his leadership. And I mean, when I tell you all last week, I was just crying and I was looking over at my chart and I was crying. And then I look over at my chart. That desperation is like, I think I've been in that desperate stage for like the last 2 years because, even though me trying to correct myself, that I wish I knew Ryan and Benny way before I am male, I'll be way much better because in my head, that's what I think. I got over it real quick. Because everything happens for a reason. And I know if anybody God gives the toughest battle to, I know he give it to me because it has nothing been easy. Has nothing. I gave up for the fact searching for easy. And I told a coworker one day, she was just a going and she was just a going. And I never let up on some people. I have my people I vent to at work. But this one, we don't talk like that. And I said, well, if you do what's easy, you'll never figure out you would never figure out what challenges you need to take to make it right or something. I said to her. She wrote that quote down and nominated me for Employee of the Month with that quote.
That's awesome.
And it says, you don't do what's easy, you do what's challenging. That's how she put
That's
it.
how she took it.
Yeah. And so it's a roller coaster, man. It's a roller coaster. But for me, I make fun. And I think that's why I have a habit of laughing and making a joke out of everything because I have to laugh to keep from crying. I have to.
That's real.
I have to, but yeah.
That's real.
But that's my share for today.
We appreciate you, Joy. This might be teaching you some lessons that you're trying to avoid.
Yeah, I don't want to be nobody's supervisor.
You knew where I was going.
I don't want to be, just the other day, it's like, I can't, it happened. Someone asked me to explain to them, and that question was complex because it's an ongoing issue that we have. But this is how I resolute so I won't get an audit because we get audits on the work that we do. And I found a way around the audit. That's my point. I'm gonna find a way to make it work. If you ain't gonna show me how to do it, and if I learn it my way and my way works, don't tell me what I'm doing is wrong. And that's what I have a problem with leadership because the leader that we have now, he was one of the people in my interview. And so because we are so around these states. A lot of these people don't know him personally. I don't know him personally because I
Mhm.
wasn't on his team, but he's a very cavalier individual. and, and so somebody said, well, I'm gonna ask such, I'm not gonna say his name. I said, you go right ahead because I already know what he's gonna do. He don't
Right.
care. Make your
Yeah.
own decision. Just don't make me look bad. But all in all, I don't
I
want
hear
to,
you.
Ryan. I don't want to.
I
They
hear
gonna
you.
make me one of them. I don't want to be one of
But maybe there's an impact that's waiting on you.
maybe.
Maybe there's a change that's waiting on you.
Maybe because I am trying to get to the part to where these leaders can find a communication instead of this need to know to these other individuals. And the whole thing is they don't hire people. Like for me, the thing that stuck out to me about this leader, he said we don't hire seasoned healthcare workers. And I already knew the terms between that. People don't like to hire seasoned people because they're stuck in their ways. He said our
That makes
training is
sense.
so good, we could train a janitor and he can do this job.
Okay.
Well, I got the job. That's a lie. I mean, technically, it was true what he's saying. If you do what I say, then you can do the job. But the thing is, when as me and as I see the work coming in, I know what should be done versus the instructions given. The instructions ain't right. Who put this
Yeah.
together? This ain't right.
Yeah.
They gonna they gonna fire me. They gonna wait to fire me till I get the management. That's what they all do anyway.
Something to think about, Joy. Something to think about. Mm. Appreciate you as always, Joy. Appreciate your transparency as always. I love it. I love it. Anybody else? Thoughts, feedback, questions, experiences? No?
Hi Ryan.
Jeremy, what's happening, man?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Doing well.
Great. Yeah, so for me, one thing that stood out for me, is the issue of desperation and the other aspect, what was the word?
The inspiration.
Inspiration. And what kind of struck me was the fact that um it's highly important that you make choices or decisions when you are inspired. Because when you are inspired, you are more careful, you crosses all the dots and the lines and the mistakes that needs to be avoided in order um to take the leap or the step. But if you wait till you become desperate to make the decision, you just jump into it without considering all the the fallbacks and the negative aspect of it. So
Hmm.
it's I was really inspired by that and the whole aspect of you have to give up in order to go up. So thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. Logan says good morning. Everybody says hi. Okay. I appreciate that, Jeremy. Um, and sometimes desperation is good, right? Because sometimes we do get to a point of overanalyzing where we need to just make decisions, right? But a lot of times in those desperate spaces, you don't, you have blinders on because of your perspective of the situation. And so you don't see all of the opportunities that are available and you just take the first one that comes, opposed to looking at all the opportunities and asking the question of, does this truly help me move in the direction that I desire? So being in a space of inspiration, it opens you up to see things more clearly. And it opens you up to see all of the opportunities opposed to just one, right? And it puts you in a space where you can ask that question of, does this move me? in the direction that I desire, yes or no. And then we have to make sure that we're making decisions and we're taking action. We're not overanalyzing, right? Because sometimes you won't have all the T's crossed and all the I's dotted, but you can get that minimum viable product, that MVP out in the market, right? You can take that first action to learn the first lesson to then take another action, right? But from a place of inspiration, you see the bigger picture. So taking that action and learning those lessons isn't as daunting as if you're doing it from a place of desperation where you can't make mistakes, right? So that's key, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate you, Jeremy. Anybody else?
I'll go. Good morning, everybody. Morning, Ryan.
Good one was done that. Uh-oh. Think you muted yourself, done that.
Sorry about that. I think what hit home for me was not to wait for an event to happen before you become desperate. I think that's what hit home for me. I think I've been on a journey for sure to ensure that financially that, you know, I can take care of myself outside of my husband or my so I don't get to that place, something should happen. And that came as a result of him, you know, being in the military and being deployed, right? So that became very evident and being uncomfortable. So I think for me, what was evident is being able to have a vision and work a plan to be able to not be comfortable and grow.
Yeah.
So for me today, that's definitely what stood out. So thank you.
That's good. That's good. Appreciate you, Donette. Appreciate you big time. Appreciate you big time. Don't wait. Good people, listen. We got an opportunity to make a decision. Right? Today you can make a decision. Make it. Make it. Make that decision today. Let today be another building block in the life that you desire. So, before I wrap up, this week is going to be a little different, because I have doctor's appointments and Benny is out of town. So tomorrow and Wednesday, we will not have a session in the morning because of doctor's appointments. My wife has a doctor's appointment tomorrow, and my mother has a procedure on Wednesday. So it'll be Thursday and Friday of this week that we will have sessions. Apologize for the change, but these appointments are early, not late. So we're going to make that adjustment for this week. As I see things on the charts, I'll get them posted in the community so that we have those happening there, and we'll rock from there. All right. Questions before we wrap it up?
Thank you for showing up.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for showing up. Appreciate it. All right, people. A lot today to be another building block in the life that you desire. Have an awesome Monday. Peace.
All the best for you.